Hi, I'm Yudhika Sujanani and welcome to Carry Me Home. Today I'm going to be making Gulab Jamun, which is a sweet Indian delicacy, and the recipe is from my book Carry Me Home Again. So Gulab Jamun is very easy to prepare. There's just a few tips that I'm going to give you along the way. We're going to need for this recipe some Nestle condensed milk, melted butter, ground cardamom, baking powder, bicarb, coconut water and flour. Okay, so I've got a tin of Nestle condensed milk in here. It's about 385 grams. And I'm going to take 2 tablespoons of water and pop it into the tin. And we're just going to stir that around and swirl the water around so we get all the condensed milk out of the tin. And you're going to pour that in. Next, you're going to add 2 tablespoons of butter. Okay, so we've added butter, water. Next in goes the cardamom powder. I usually say in the recipe about a 1/4 teaspoon, but I quite enjoy cardamom, so I'm going to add 1/2 teaspoon of ground cardamom. Now this is freshly ground and it's not store-bought. The reason is that once you grind cardamom, it tends to lose its aroma quite quickly. We're going to add 2 tablespoons of semolina. And I'm going to add my baking powder now, which is 2 teaspoons. And then 1/2 teaspoon of bicarb. Okay, now we're going to mix this around just to make sure everything's combined quite nicely. And then we're going to add 2 cups of cake flour. I'm using a wooden spoon to mix this. The dough is incredibly sticky. The other thing you should remember about making Gulab Jamun is that you need to work really fast. And if you are just a novice Gulab Jamun maker, just remember, cover your dough with a wet dish towel, and this prevents the dough from drying out. The condensed milk actually makes the dough go quite stiff, and it does become very hard and difficult to actually work with. Now the dough is coming together quite nicely. You need a bit of extra power here to mix it all up. And now scrape the dough off the spoon, and I'm going to use my favorite tool, my fingertips, to actually work the condensed milk and the flour together into a smooth dough. So here we have our sticky dough, and we're almost ready to start molding them into little fingers. Just going to rub the dough off my fingers, rub your hands together. And I'm going to rinse my hands before I start molding them into fingers. So now we're going to mold these into little, almost like Indian donuts. So the first thing you need to do is use your butter. If you have a little leftover melted butter, it works beautifully. And you're going to pop some onto the palm of your hand and just grease your palms. And then you're going to pinch off little pieces of dough. And the first thing you do is roll them into a ball, and then you roll them into a finger, like so. And these are going to be fried. So you pop that onto some baking paper. In the meantime, before you actually start making the dough, you make up the sugar syrup, which is made with 3 cups of sugar, 2 cups of water and a cinnamon stick, and I've done that already. Benny, are you getting some? Okay, so we're ready to fry the Gulab Jamun. I've got some sunflower oil that's heated up to about a medium heat. You don't want the oil to be too hot, because then they actually burn the outside of the Gulab Jamun and the inside stays raw. So to test the oil, we've got a little ball of dough, and we're going to pop that into the oil. And it should puff up and rise to the surface. going to check that. Yes, and the oil is ready. You can see it's just already bubbling up, and the little ball of dough is popped up to the surface. And you can see because of the condensed milk, they actually brown quite quickly. So you need to take care not to burn them. Okay, so we're just going to lift these up and pop them into the oil gently. Take care not to overcrowd the pan because they do puff up and swell up a fair bit. So these are already turning a light golden brown. And I'm just lowering the heat because I don't want to burn them. It's important to keep stirring them so they don't brown only on one side. When you fry the gulab jamun, they do tend to crack at some point, and that's completely normal. That's because of the semolina. Okay, so these are a nice deep golden brown, and I'm going to pop them into the sugar syrup. Now your syrup should be quite thin. It's not a thick sugar syrup. It is 3 cups of sugar with 2 cups of water and a cinnamon stick, and it's boiled for about 3 to 4 minutes. It should actually penetrate the gulab jamun, and these can be made in advance and stored for up to a week. I'm going to switch off the heat, and here are the gulab jamuns in the syrup. And I'm using ice tongs, but they're much smaller and easier to handle if you have small hands. So you're going to just stir them around in the sugar syrup. And the syrup can be slightly warm. I prefer it slightly warm because it actually penetrates the gulab jamuns a lot better. Okay, we're going to remove them and place them on a wire rack. Now these are generally rolled in coconut. I'm just going to dust a bit of coconut over. Okay. And now I'm going to do the coconut over. Just a little bit of desiccated coconut going over each gulab jamun. And that's the last one. And those are our wonderfully delicious gulab jamun, and they are just absolutely gorgeous. In fact, I can't resist, so I'm going to have a quick bite now. Divine. Well, thank you for watching Carry Me Home again, and I'll see you next time.